Time now for our rants and raves of the week, starting with Dan Kennedy.
I have a rant for Twitter. Twitter is in big trouble. It's not the user base is not growing. They lost $167 million last year. Their stock price is plummeting. There are a variety of reasons for this. They haven't been able to figure out how to sell ads. It's too hard to use for newcomers. But I think the thing that they really have to get a handle on that they haven't done is they have to get a hold of its emergence as this horrible place of abusive behavior. It's just become an open sewer. It's a great journalistic tool, and yet at the same time, it's this awful place. And if they can't get that under control, it's just going to get worse and worse for them from a business perspective.
Yeah. All right, Tom.
Mine is, oddly enough, that Wikipedia, who I think all of us remember when it first started, it was so error-prone that it was something of a joke. And I know academics said to their students, you can never use this, and journalists too. Well, now Wikipedia has changed.
Do you have a rant or a rave?
This is a rave now for Wikipedia, which has kicked out the Daily Mail as being too uncredible to be sourced for Wikipedia. Great irony.
Well, so the Wikipedia is now more reliable than the Daily Mail.
Absolutely right. So we've got public shaming going on with Wikipedia being the shamer.
People misunderstand Wikipedia. It's the greatest research tool ever invented. It's not a reference source.
That's good.
Yeah, so that's a good way. So I know a lot of academics said you couldn't check it, but even for like birthdays or whatever it is, it's like it's valuable.
Oh, it's gotten much better. Yeah, absolutely much better.
Yeah. All right. Let's see, Callie.
This is a reminder that what can happen if you allow people to slowly take over the media, and this is about Venezuela riding its own wave of fake news phenomenon. So there is a documentary called El Comandante, which premiered in several Latin American countries and the U.S. via Telemundo and TNT, and this really made the president, Nicolas Maduro, very angry about it. So he wanted to ban it, and then also he called it a legal show. He's forcing people to create a whole other documentary which refutes what's in the original one. And the original one is about Hugo Chavez, who was the former president, and so he says that's not true. He's offering an alternative fact documentary.
Oh my gosh.
So let's just be
aware. And are they going to air it?
Well, he's the dictator. Oh. Just alerting people that this is what you can look forward to if you keep going down a slippery slope.
For that. It's called propaganda.
There you go. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
All right, who am I missing? Dan.
Yeah, well, this is a rave for Chris Cillizza of the Washington Post, where he was essentially pointing out in this piece that he wrote about how there's this lack of civility when we're talking about political differences, and it always turns into name-calling. And he highlights Marco Rubio, Senator Rubio, in a positive way in this speech that he gave on the Senate floor, essentially calling out his colleagues for the lack of civility in their discussions. And I thought, whatever the motivating factors may be for this, it's great that someone is actually talking about this. There's so much ugliness out there. And when we're talking about, hey, let's pay attention to what's going on and how we're being pulled apart, let's be a little more civil. I think we can all live with a little more joke.
Well, under current circumstances, I mean, the civil discourse is devolving, and it's led by the leader of the free world.
I know. Dan and I had a conversation about this earlier, and I'm not saying I'm here to tell you how it's going to happen. I just like to hear a little bit of positivity every now and then.
Forget it.
Well, I wanted to be happy today. Sometimes I'm sad, and I want to be happy today.
Marco Rubio. Let's not forget that Marco Rubio was the guy who addressed the size of the mail package as a campaign issue.
I'm not looking at anything else around this. Just this one thing. There was a little dose of happiness on the Senate floor, and I'm applauding it.
Tell that to Elizabeth Warren.
Yes, exactly. Well, this was counter. This was in reaction to what happened.
That's right.
All right. Well, finally, I have a rant tonight, and I realize mistakes are made. I really do, and I'm not saying this was the worst thing in the world. But the other night during the football game, early on, like around 9 o'clock, the Boston Globe sent its early print edition out to the Florida area. I happen to be in Florida.
Oh, okay.
And it said, a bitter end. In other words, I mean, it looked really grim, I have to admit. It was 28-3, I think, probably when they sent that thing out. But this is the problem, because it kind of propagates the notion that we're careless or that we like to spread fake news or, things are both. It's like, would it have killed them? I mean, first of all, if the people in Florida were either in bed or watching the Super Bowl, they weren't waiting for, the headline from the Boston Globe. And I'm sure they regretted the error, and I totally understand that. But, jeez, I mean, it takes you back to Truman Dewey. Truman Dewey.
They should put at least a question mark at the end of that. A bitter end?
I know. Or a bittersweet end. They could have covered both bases.
Oh, there you go.